the history of environmental insurance goes back to the standard, history of school. So, so I'm a bit of a history buff.
So I think another misconception that out there for environmental is that, it's either only site pollution or it's only contractors pollution for like an abatement contractor. So love to get, Robert, your thoughts on the industry and what kind of clients you see in your region.
Yeah, sure. So it's an interesting question because, the history of coverage, was really centered around lead and asbestos abatement. And we still write a lot of lead and asbestos abatement contractors, but, that's hardly the lion's share of what we see, particularly down in the South Central region. We see a lot of remediation contractors working in the oil field, cleaning up dirty dirt, but we also see industrial cleaning contractors. We see guys who are erecting tanks. It's hard to define because it is such a broad appetite, but, generally if someone is, treating, maintaining, neutralizing, or containing a pollutant, then they're likely going to be a fit for us. I think that we have a lot of contractors that people would not expect that, are a fit for us.
And I think, with our general liability products pollution, site pollution product, it's geared towards manufacturers, and people always think of, the traditional like a valve or tank manufacturer because they've got the product pollution exposure. But really any manufacturer is going to have oils and solvents, different chemicals on site. If they have a fire, say it's a plastic manufacturer, if it burns, it's going to be releasing noxious fumes, black smoke. So, definitely an environmental exposure there. And I always tell my brokers when they're trying to prospect for new accounts that you can really just go onto the EPA website and look up and see if they have a Clean Air Act permit or a Clean Water Act permit, because if they do, they definitely have an environmental exposure that they're taking into account. So how are they addressing that from a pollution? So I think, with the different products that we can offer, it really kind of opens the door to be able to fit the need of any client that's out there.
Yeah, and I think the strength of our program too is the fact that we can write the auto, we can write the workers' comp, we can write the general liability, the CPL, the on-site pollution, products pollution, the excess. Not all companies are just geared to fit in neatly to a box that we put out there as to the environmental, non-environmental. They can haul chemicals. They can do industrial cleaning at manufacturing facilities where that presents off-site pollution exposures, and then also the transportation pollution and loading and unloading. And it's great to have a carrier that can do all those lines so it's dovetailed, so you're not concerning yourself with missing those coverages or one company pointing the finger at another over who's going to pick it up. Meanwhile, it needs to be picked up.
That's something I talk about a lot too, is that we're not in the box underwriters by any means. Obviously, we have our appetite. We know what we really focus on. We know what we do well. We know what's not in our appetite. There's always room for discussion. I mean, some of these risks are really weird, right? And they have multiple components to them. I've seen that a lot with many accounts that have come in. And we're like, does this really fit? It does, because we didn't think about this aspect of it. But always, telling people, don't just kick it out because you saw on our appetite list that it doesn't fit. Let's have a conversation about it. And yes, we are a lot more than site pollution, a lot more. I would say the majority of our business is not that, right? But environmental people think, tanks or site, and that's it. But then they're very interested to learn about all the big accounts that we have, that we are able to write all those lines that you mentioned.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that people think of us as a surplus lines market. We really are a lot more than that, because we can write the auto, because we can write the workers' comp, which are admitted lines. We play in both spaces and we're very comfortable with it. And, if you can get more lines of coverage, with an insured, then they're more likely going to stay with you. So that's a real benefit that we provide, is that we can bring pretty much an all lines approach for a lot of classes of business.